What happens if a child misses an immunization? What impact can that really have on the child's health or on a child's development?
And we want, families to understand that when they're vaccinating, they're not only protecting their child, they are actually protecting themselves and our community, at large. And so vaccines are definitely life-saving. So each birth cohort in the US that gets vaccinated, prevents 20 million illnesses. 40,000 deaths are prevented. And it saves us in healthcare approximately $70 billion, right? And the reason we do it is to make sure that we are saving lives and that there is not significant morbidity or mortality of children. And so if we have decreased rates of immunizations, then your child, your family, your community are at higher risk to suffer those consequences that are preventable if we get vaccinated.
A lot of parents really don't appreciate the impact that some of these vaccine preventable diseases have on our pediatric population. In training, when I trained at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles to become a pediatrician, I clearly remember having to take care of 4 babies in the ICU who had been exposed to pertussis because one of the baby's 4-year-old brothers was unvaccinated and simply came to a breastfeeding class with his mom and ended up infecting the entire mommy and me group, resulting in at least 4 of the babies ending up in the ICU. And the challenge is sort of this perceived risk. So in my practice, about 50% of my families have chosen either to vaccinate at a different schedule or to not vaccinate at all. And in our conversations, we talk about the significance of these diseases and the blessing and the curse of having successfully reached what we call herd immunity, such that enough of our children have been vaccinated that those children who are not vaccinated end up reaping the benefits. Babies under the age of 2 months have the benefit of herd immunity because they cannot get vaccines except for the hepatitis B given at birth. But for other little ones whose parents choose not to vaccinate their children, they're really depending on the rest of us vaccinating our children in order for their children to be protected. And we have to think through, there is a real risk when it comes to measles, mumps, and rubella. A lot of these diseases are things that people have only heard about occasionally in a news story. We had the first polio outbreak that we have had in over a decade. But again, it felt isolated to a lot of people. I actually got a little bit more families to be open to the polio vaccine after that outbreak about a year and a half ago. But we shouldn't have to have outbreaks at Disney in order for families to feel like vaccines are important. And part of it is forums just like this to provide that education.